So, what does it mean to build healthy boundaries? Why are they important? And how can they impact your self doubt, either making it worse or how is having them help you overcome self doubt? Hey, human, Coach Nate here with another mindful focus to share with you today. I want to talk about building healthy boundaries and how doing so helps you to overcome self-doubt, that thing that can plague us at times. Yeah, it's a natural human desire to have, form, be a part of relationships, to socialize. The degree may vary from person to person, individual preference, time of day, where you're at in your life, but that's a natural human, I'll say, instinct. Healthy relationships are good for our mental health. Key word, healthy relationships are good for our mental health, well-being, and growth. They help us to thrive. The interactions that come from having people around you that you can rely on support and also provide support. There's a thing that when we're not feeling so well off or good, we can get a mental lift simply by pouring into helping another individual. Who better to do that with than those that are close to you, that you have relationships with. Now, healthy relationships also respect boundaries. They should understand that you have this boundary. They should be supportive of your boundaries and help you to maintain them. Maybe in the accountability partner, but moreover, just respecting that your person, your individual that you are, this is where you want to be, and want to support you in that way. They wouldn't want to do anything to negatively impact you. So suffice to say then, a sign of an unhealthy relationship or when boundaries become necessary. When an individual may know you, understand your likes and dislikes, and even with that, don't respect or allow your space and intrude on, impede, perhaps even negatively impact you in the relationship. That's crossing boundaries, right? If you interact and you come away feeling worse off than when you went to something didn't go like it should have in that regard. So that then brings us to the danger there to our self-confidence, our self-esteem, things that can bring about self-doubt, cause us to question ourselves, to trust ourselves, to second guess ourselves, is when we're in a relationship that we rely maybe too heavily on the input of the other individual. It's not respecting our boundaries. And well, if they don't see an issue with it, then it begins to really eat away at us, even though we know what we like, desire, what's best for us, what works for us. But there's a sense of obligation in this relationship that we have, and we actually give our power over to them, the other individual or individuals who aren't respecting our boundaries, because we're in a relationship with them, because we feel a sense of obligation, and it just really does damage to our self in terms of creating self-doubt. We begin doubting ourselves and our abilities. Okay. With that, how do we let go, live now, win? Understand that boundaries are for you. They are not against them. They are for your well-good, your well-being, your protection, your peace, those priceless things that you cannot buy, no one can give you. That's you creating that, and you have the most control over. Others can negatively influence it, sometimes positively, which we appreciate, but you are in charge. That's what you own, and that's what you control. Boundaries are predetermined, you generally set established, and then also we assess them along the way and make adjustments where appropriate. Sometimes boundaries become necessary as a result of an interaction. I didn't like how that felt. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't feel right. So I'm going to set a boundary of whether it be someone touching you, affection, calling at a certain hour, texting, showing up unannounced, inviting themselves over or along to where you're going, reaching out to people that you know. I mean, there's endless, but it boils endless opportunity to set boundaries. But what it boils down to is what works for you within the confines, within the realm of where you are comfortable in terms of your peace and well-being, and what puts you in discomfort. And if it feels imposing on your personal space, it feels intrusive, uninvited, unwelcomed. Those are all litmus tests to say should a boundary then be put in place. The aim there is to create boundaries that give you the space, the shield, the protection from risk, and also to hear your own thoughts, the good ones, to help you to process, to deal with. Perhaps it's overwhelmed. Maybe it's just not a good day or time. Maybe you are susceptible to being triggered in certain environments and certain interactions with certain individuals, just different personality types, not different temperaments. And it's not a judgment on either. Some just aren't compatible. Some are only compatible for a little bit of time. Some people you love from a distance. Some people you can love right up and close, and they can be in your space, depending on what energy they bring, where you're at. Those are all reasons to put in place boundaries. While boundaries should be firm, set, not boundaries that people can just walk all over, setting them up for yourself, and we're getting to the reason as to why that's important, making them clear and communicating them, and even non-negotiable. This isn't up for debate. I am me, you are you. I know and determine what's best for me. You do the same for you. And communicate it in such a way that it's not offensive, that boundaries shouldn't be used as weapons. Boundaries are, again, more for protection. If if you think back in Roman times, you've got your shield and you've got your sword. Well, boundaries aren't the sword. Boundaries are the shield of protection. Yes, people, some of the new movies, they use shields as weapons. Well, that's an last-ditch effort for protecting yourself. But think of it as a way to shield and protect yourself. When we're setting those boundaries, let's not be so rigid at the same time. I know I said firm, but not be so rigid as to become offensive or intrude on other people's boundaries. If you set the boundary that I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, I'm not going to have the TV on or, with devices and lights, and then you decide in your household that I'm turning off the TV, shutting off all the lights, unplugging everybody's electronic device, and demanding that everybody go to bed because you want to go to bed 10 minutes. That's a bit, that's over the edge. Just go to bed. Go to bed. At your time, your boundary. And perhaps let people know that, I wish not to be disturbed. This is my rest time. So your boundaries should not violate other people's boundaries. So there's where you're being too rigid. Having some flexibility in there as to not offend without compromising your values. Boundaries are to be firm, to be communicated, to be set, created, and maintained with no compromise, but having some flexibility as to not offend or intrude upon other people's boundaries. Think of it like a two-way street. It's just, if the cars are in the same lane, collision. So it's staying in different lanes and respecting other people's boundaries as you would hope that they would respect yours, again, as long as there's no infringement. Now let's bring it all together. The reason for all of this is setting and holding and maintaining your boundaries reduces the self-sabotage of receiving external influence that causes you to question yourself, to doubt yourself, to am I, because that other person, they're their own entity. This is what works for you. Because that doesn't work for them, we sometimes will take that on, that energy, and say, well maybe it should. The sense of obligation for the relationship. You want to, not have them be upset with you. Well, the one person on this planet that you should never disappoint is yourself. Starting point. That's the test. Will this disappoint me? Then you've got your clear answer on where then to go next. It's not about them. It isn't. I've yet to go to a funeral burial at the cemetery and anybody jump in and say, I'm done. You are so important. A couple hours later, people are laughing, and even though they were mourning, that's just a reality. This is your life. That's their life. What works for you. Not infringing on theirs, but maintaining yours. What works for you, so you can hear the good thoughts, process, understand, and develop and grow. Protecting vigilantly your mental health and well-being, not questioning your choices because they're yours and you made them and they're for you. And not every choice is going to be perfect or going to work out. And we're going to make mistakes. But it's far better to have made a choice and it didn't work out, and then you own that it's because of my decision, than to be influenced or drug into something you know you didn't want any part of, and things going south. Now, when it's our own decision, based on our own boundaries, based on our own choices, based on what works for us, based on what we want in our own lives. And if anything, firmly grasp and practice that no is a complete sentence. Doesn't mean you have to offer an explanation or reason or justification. It's a boundary. No. If you want to add a thank you, knock yourself out. No thank you. That is in and of itself a complete sentence. Sans explanation, but read into it what you want. Justification. This is where we're at. That's my boundary. No thank you. And we're done. Just sharing some insights with you. Feel free to try them or toss them. Both of those can be correct answers, but only you are the one that can determine which it is for yourself. If you like this content, please do give a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I post additional content, and share this with someone who you feel may benefit from it. And above all, remember to let go, live now, and win.